Hey guys, and welcome to an Aspie's Point of View where I give you my opinion on stuff. So today I wanted to talk about the Committee on Oversight and Reform's hearing on the revocation of deferred action for people who are severely medically ill. I spent 3 hours and 49 minutes watching the hearing. I watched from beginning to end, and there were parts of this hearing that absolutely disgusted me, and there were parts of this hearing that made me proud to be an American citizen. And the reason that parts of this hearing disgusted me is that this country right now is divided by Democrat and Republican. This country is not thinking about humanity. They're thinking about how best to throw mud at each other, and that is not what should be thought about right now. Right now, we are looking at an issue where around 1,000 people are being eventually ordered out of the United States because medical deferred action is no longer going to exist. Right now, there's approximately, I think they said 434 or so people that are affected by this, but there are people who are in the process of applying. There are people who have not come up for their renewal yet. I first found out about this about, I want to say, a week and a half to 2 weeks ago. I am an avid follower of Justin Baldoni. He is a director who works on a show called My Last Days. And one of the girls that he followed in My Last Days, Isabel, received a letter saying that she had 33 days to get out of the United States. And if she did not leave the United States, then proceedings could begin against her and her family for deportation. Isabel survives based on weekly infusions of an enzyme that her body does not produce. If Isabel gets sent back to Guatemala, where she is from, she will die because she will not be able to get this treatment. That made me mad because Isabel is an absolutely inspirational person. She has been in the United States legally for 16 years. Her family was asked to make a choice very quickly. They were told they could stay in the United States and never go back to Guatemala again, or they could leave the United States and go back to Guatemala. They chose to leave their families, leave their friends, stay in the United States, and give Isabel her life-saving treatment. She was a part of a clinical study to help other people with her rare genetic disease, and she has continued to be a part of clinical trials the whole time that she has been here in the United States. She wants to help people, and the people that she is helping are mostly U.S. citizens. She is not out to get help only for herself. She is very much wanting to help others. Isabel was originally told that she might not make it to 8. Then maybe she wouldn't make it into her teens. Isabel just graduated college, and she graduated summa cum laude. Now, the next question I'm sure a lot of you have is, well, the government's paying for all her medical care, right? Wrong. Isabel's family has private insurance, and they are paying for her medical care. They pay for her private insurance, and they pay her copays. They pay anything that the insurance does not cover. Isabel is not a burden to the American people. Her family are not burdens to the American people. They have been here legally for 16 years, and in one day, their entire lives changed. And they changed silently. There was no press release that this program was ending. There was no mention of it. The public didn't know. The reason I found out is that Justin Baldoni put up something online saying that Isabel and her family were being forced to leave the country. And immediately, everyone who had been following her story jumped into action. It was actually very amazing for me seeing all of these people standing up for what was right, standing up for this girl who has dedicated 16 years of her life to this country and to making sure that people from this country were able to get treatments. And yes, is she benefiting from this? Absolutely. She is benefiting because she is receiving treatment as well. But are we really going to play God now and choose who gets to live and who gets to die based on where they were born? Because that is not the America that I want to be a part of. Now, watching these two panels was at times wonderful and at times infuriating, because everyone on the Republican side was trying to make it seem as though this was a lie. This wasn't really happening, that these people were brought to testify. Someone actually said they were brought to testify in front of Congress, and the reason that they were brought there was to put fear into people and to sling mud at President Trump. Not the exact words that were used, but that was what they were saying. They said this was a political issue that the Democrats caused, the Democrats created. Basically, without using the words, they said it was fake news. It was not fake news. We've seen the letter, and the letter clearly stated 33 days, and if you do not leave the country within 33 days, that proceedings can be started against you in order to deport you from the United States. Now, there were people who tried to make a very big deal out of the fact that proceedings could be started against you. But think about it this way. You're a parent of a chronically ill child, or you're chronically ill yourself, and you receive this letter. You read the part about 33 days to get out of this country, or proceedings could be started against you to be deported. You're not thinking, maybe they won't deport me. You're thinking, I've been given 33 days to leave. That's what you're thinking, because it doesn't say that in 33 days we'll review your case and decide whether we want to arrest you and put you through the trauma of being deported. It says 33 days to leave. If you choose to stay, we have the ability to deport you. And the fact that people were so focused on the little teeny tiny ray of hope, if you will, in the language of the letter was absolutely appalling. What I could not believe was how many people chose to use the 5 minutes that they were given to question not only Isabel, but there was a boy who had cystic fibrosis. There were several doctors who were on this panel, and there was a gentleman who used to work for immigration. He was obviously not on the side of the people who are for medical deferred action, but I digress. They were using it as a platform to discuss fear-mongering, to discuss the crisis at the border, to discuss that the Democrats lie and say that there are concentration camps and that there really aren't, and the Democrats hate President Trump and this and that. They did not ask questions about medical deferred action. That's what this whole committee hearing was about, was medical deferred action. That's why these people were sitting in front of them and they didn't ask the questions. Half of them were testifying. It was so impossible. And what was really difficult was listening as the Democrats were questioning these people, and they would start by apologizing for their colleagues across the way who were being dehumanizing to these people who were terrified that they were going to be deported. For what? For being born in the wrong country. And even though they had been here legally and done nothing wrong, oh, that program doesn't exist anymore, so we have the ability to send you home. Bye! It's wrong. And the second panel, which included a USCIS representative and an ICE representative, was the most agonizing hour of my life, because constantly the USCIS representative was citing a pending lawsuit pending litigation as a reason for why he could not answer the questions that were being asked of him. It was explained to him several times that the Supreme Court has ruled on this issue and that that is not a defense for you not to answer questions. And he continued to use this as his only defense for not answering these questions. No information was received from USCIS or ICE during that hour. And when the Republicans, again, would ask questions, immediately it was trying to testify for these people that weren't answering the questions for themselves. There was one point in time that one of the people said, I think what you were trying to say was that these people who were brought here will not be deported. Is that correct? And the response that was given was that they could not see a person in a position like that, a person who was sympathetic, a person who was ill, being deported. 5 minutes later, a Democrat said, are you guaranteeing that the two people who testified here earlier today are not going to be deported? The answer was, no, I can't make that guarantee. So they were not, in fact, answering the question. They were saying, oh, you gave us an out. You're telling us that you can say something and all we have to do is say, I agree. No. You are messing with people's lives. You are not answering questions and you are messing with people's lives. The committee chairman made a very good point. He said that he was taught that there are 5 important pieces of information that you need to be able to gain in a hearing. The 5 W's. You learned them in school, right? Who, what, when, where, why. The USCIS representative and the ICE representative could not answer a single one of those questions. That is disgusting. They couldn't answer those questions because they didn't want to answer those questions. It's not that they didn't know. They were trying to protect whoever made this decision. They were trying to protect themselves. They were trying to protect the political system right now, because right now the storyline is supposed to be that the Democrats are the bad people. The Democrats are the ones making all of this up. The Democrats are fear-mongering. Well, guess what? It's not fear-mongering when someone receives a letter saying you have 33 days to leave, and if you don't leave, we're going to begin, or we could begin, proceedings against you. What they were trying to say at one point was that yes, deferred medical action is going away. However, you can still be granted a stay. Here's the problem. A stay is granted after you've been ordered deported. You're talking about taking sick people who are ill, people who are hospitalized, medically fragile, people who will die without their treatment, putting them through a lengthy process of a deportation hearing that they shouldn't even have to go to because they are here legally. And then, after being told that they have to leave the country, then giving them a stay. How is that right? How is that fair? You told these people 16 years ago, you can never go back to Guatemala if you choose to stay here. And now 16 years later, all you want to do is send them back to Guatemala. And it's not just these 2 people who were at the hearing today. There are so many people being affected by this. And it is something that, again, people just keep saying on the Republican side. It's being made up. It's being blown out of proportion. There was a gentleman who was on the first panel who has worked in immigration law for a very long time. And he said he has had more people crying in his office in the last week and a half than he's had in the entire rest of his career. Think about that for a minute. How many people he must have told were getting deported, lost their case, were having to leave this country. And more people have cried in his office in the last week and a half than in his entire career. This is not fake. This is real. And the people who brought this to the attention of the Committee on Oversight and Reform, the people who said we need this emergency hearing to happen, were not the ones who found out about this happening. They didn't cause this, as some people were trying to say. The people who received these letters reached out to people in political circles. They reached out to their representatives. They reached out to their congressmen and congresswomen. They reached out for help because they didn't know what to do. And so they, without knowing any of what was going on, said, this is crazy. We didn't even know this was happening. We need to call an emergency hearing. This was not created by the Democrats to cause some sort of an uproar with President Trump, or to suggest that President Trump is trying to kick sick kids out of the country. This is real. And I would like to ask you to go and watch the hearing. You don't have to watch all 3 hours and 49 minutes of it if you don't feel the need to. Watch some of it and watch what's happening to our country right now. Watch how well-spoken the panelists in the first half of the hearing were, because honestly, the panelists in the second half did not speak. And think about the fact that you have one side of the room, the Democratic side, being so empathetic and trying to get answers and wanting to help. And you have the other side of the room, bearing a few of them, who those few did say that they wanted to help, were trying to make this out to be something that it's not. And were making a mockery and were demoralizing not only the two people that were there testifying today to save their lives, but all of the people who are currently receiving medical deferred action. I implore you to watch this. And while you're watching, think about what is happening to this country. Think about, is this an America I want to be a part of? Because today, watching those hearings, I decided no. It's not the America I want to be a part of. And it has nothing to do with who our president is right now, or with whether I'm a Democrat or I'm a Republican. It has to do with the fact that there is a whole side of our government who doesn't care what is happening to people on a daily basis, who doesn't care that people who will die if they have to leave this country are being issued notices that they have 33 days to leave or can be deported, who are saying, well, the whole thing's been reversed. No, it hasn't been reversed. They said they will now consider those applications. They did not say that they have decided to keep medical deferred action. That is something very important. Yes, they reversed the original decision that those people had 33 days to leave. That does not mean that medical deferred action exists anymore. That does not mean that those people will not still be booted out of this country. That does not mean that they still are not issuing a death sentence to these people. I don't want to be a part of a country that feels like it's okay for anyone to die. I don't care if they're legal, if they're illegal, if they're pink, purple, polka dot. I don't care. People are important. Their lives matter. Everyone's life matters. There is something that I find so incredibly interesting, and that is that if you look at the pro-life population, at the pro-life political proponents who were at this hearing, those same pro-life people were making the point today that this is false, this isn't real, that this is being blown out of proportion. If the life of an embryo is important, that we'll call it a child. I am not going to go in a particular political direction on this channel. If that child has not taken a breath, opened their eyes, been out of the womb, why is that life more important than the life of someone who has taken a breath, has been out of the womb, who has made a difference for 16 years, who has done things in their life that we should be proud of? I don't care where they're from. I don't care how they got here. Their life matters. And I want to say that if what I saw today is how this country wants to proceed going forward, I am honestly scared. I am scared about who's going to be next. I'm scared about what's going to happen next. Because here's the problem. A new president could come in either in the next election or definitely in the election after that, because there is a 2-term limit. They can't undo everything that's already been done. And again, I am not trying to make a political statement on this channel in terms of whether I am a Democrat, whether I'm a Republican, what I believe in, what I do not. But if you deport these people will die. The next president can't bring them back to life. Think about that. Until next time, this has been an Aspie's Point of View. Please, please, please go watch some of this hearing. It is on YouTube. It is online. Please look into some of the petitions that are on change.org trying to save these people from leaving. And one of the final speakers said something that I will hold on to with all my might, and that was that if they come to take Isabel away, they better bring a whole lot of buses, because a whole lot of constituents are going to get arrested. I want a country where that happens, where U.S. citizens are willing to put themselves on the line to protect someone, no matter what their origin country is. That's the America I want to be a part of. Good night, guys.